Hi everyone, this is going to be a really quick and unprofessional reading, but this is the very best I can do under the present conditions, with my living situation. So I took a look at what the energies of this week are likely to produce for us individually and collectively. As you know, we have a really strong T-square, actually two very powerful T-squares in the sky, which means absolute chaos. This is gonna be one of the most intense weeks of 2021. So even if things are very, very chaotic, this will definitely rearrange the big picture both for us individually and collectively. And regardless of how we may perceive it, as chaotic, as stressful, fearful, maybe a little bit hopeless, as if things are definitely not under control, this is still leading somewhere. Even if we might not be able to see the big picture, this is one of those moments when we just have to confront with reality. We know who we are. We did a lot of soul searching, a lot of inner work, a lot of shadow work, a lot of self-psychoanalysis over the course of the past 3 years, because that was the main theme. I do believe that none of us were exception to this. And depending on what we found out about ourselves, who it is that we became, who it is that we evolved into, now that person has to find their way in the big jungle that basically the world is right now. And it's not just a jungle, but perhaps a jungle burning in flames. So it will also be about survival, but we have no chance but to fight for who it is that we truly are. So we have the Four of Earth, which is the Four of Coins reversed. This definitely represents, more collectively, that things are not going to be under control, financial chaos. It can also, in rare cases, represent food shortages, delivery system failures, where a nation, a country, a local community has to tap into their reserves. And this might unfortunately be true even individually. Perhaps some of us are running out of money, resources, so we really have to tap into what we collected so far, what we own, what we work towards, and make sure that that is going to last us. Another expression of this card is going to be chaos and uncertainty work-wise, but more collectively speaking. So maybe a certain kind of crisis with jobs, maybe shortage of workers, shortage of professionals in a certain domain, or simply disruptions with certain services due to external events like, weather or anything which doesn't depend on absolutely anyone. Now, next we have the Five of Earth. Now, this is not a very pleasant card because it does represent, especially collectively, calamities. It can be the destructive element of water like floods or massive storms. It can also be wind like hurricanes. But most importantly, the earth energy, well, that is the disruptive element of the earth. Now, strictly individually, this is also not a very good sign because it can represent the losing of livelihood, jobs, income, money shortages, poverty, scarcity, everything which kind of influences our material well-being. But even though this in itself is something quite negative, it doesn't really come as a huge surprise or a shock or an unexpected event. It does suggest that one way or another, many of us have prepared for this moment. So we are actually in a position of safety. We are in a position of knowing what to expect. So that means that we either have a plan B or we are armed with patience and the determination to survive and get through this no matter what it takes. Or for some people, this is the moment when they are truly open to compromises because they have to survive. So even though this physically, materially speaking, is not so pleasant, psychologically speaking, this doesn't necessarily come through as a crisis because we are either prepared for it or we are embodying our strength, our intelligence, our resilience, so we can work with it, we can survive, we know what to do, and our instincts are already very empowered, they're already very activated within us, so they will definitely guide us to the right solution, the right survival, basically. And even though if that might involve a certain delicate compromise, where we might have to tune down our idealism, our highest principles, and even our beliefs and spirituality, that doesn't mean that we are defeated, that doesn't mean doom and gloom, that doesn't even mean a heartache. It just means that we know that this is a temporary state, and as long as we do our best to survive, there will come a moment when the storm, symbolically speaking, ends. You know, this is where we know that nothing lasts forever, not even a crisis, not even a shortage, not even a disruption. And what we learn out of this, may that be something extremely practical, how to manage money, for example, how to be very resourceful, how to, use our communication skills or our relations here and there to make it. Well, whatever it is that we're learning, it will serve us for the very long distance future, and we are definitely going to pass the wisdom down to future generations, so it's all good. And then the next card is the Awakening, which is the tarot correspondent of the Judgment. And this means that regardless of what happens, may it be as negative, as fearful, as frightening as it can get, this will definitely be a huge eye-opener for all of us. And this is where, it will speak directly to our instincts, and it will just empower us to know what is true and what is not true, especially from a spiritual perspective. This is where a lot of us are gonna wake up, perhaps in a shocking way, to the reality that we must not believe fairy tales any longer. Because ultimately, if there is an awakening happening, well, that is our own personal relationship with the divine and not the collective and nothing else. This is where we truly have to take ownership of our lives, including spiritually. So that means detachment from anything else. Now, next we have as a clarifier the Ace of Earth reversed and the Six of Earth. And this kind of means a material reset. And what this actually means is that, psychologically we kind of already figured out without a shadow of a doubt that the old normality before the world crisis began is a memory. There is no going back. But perhaps it will take this very chaotic moment for the new normality to begin from a very physical and down-to-earth perspective. This is where the state of flow, income, and everything which has to do with basically the flow of material values and energies and everything is already very different, especially the methodology, the modus operandi, what it means to us personally. It is already different. It is now when we're practically seeing, learning, living of how to do things differently, us identifying what the new flow is, how things work in this, let's say, new normality, and what personal values, skills, and talents, etc. we can put out there, and those ultimately will turn into our livelihood, source of income, and our future material stability. But of course, this is a little bit different personally, because there are some people who already done this step. There are some people who are already safe and secure. They have basically done the work because they were lucky. So right now they're more upgrading their situations than anything else. But there of course are some people who haven't managed to do this yet. So they're just figuring their ways, their lives, their personal modus operandi out. And for those individuals who are really a bit stuck, who like have no options, no opportunities, the Six of Earth also means that there is definitely help somewhere out there. It may be a family, it may be a dear friend, it may be a total stranger, it may be just someone who the divine sends your way, but don't worry, it doesn't matter how bad your situation looks like. Something will definitely enter your life to give you a solution, an option, or something you can work with. So don't panic, because this chaos, as frightening as it may seem this week, it will just somehow catapult you to a much better and safer place. Even if it means, like totally cutting you off from your comfort zone. This is where, you really, really have to have faith in yourself and basically in your life and the life force that you carry within yourself. Because as long as the life force is there and it is here to stay, well, somehow, some way your story has to lead you to safety and the chance, the possibility of survival and to preserve everything that you are. So even if your logic, your mental sphere fails you, even if your spirit fails you, the life force that you carry within yourself is definitely not gonna fail you. So this is all I can do for today. I do hope that you found it useful. Thank you again for listening. Until next time, bye for now.